So lovely to have you all here with us this afternoon for our first post-16 GCSE Maths Network. My name is Sue Carter and I'm the Senior Qualifications Manager here at Pearson Excel. I'm joined this afternoon by Ed Stratton, who is going to hopefully man the chat for me and answer any of your questions in the chat. There's quite a few of you in here this afternoon, so if we don't get to all your questions, we do have those given to us after the event, so we will respond to you in the next few days, but it is lovely to have you. Ellie is in the background, who's going to sort out all the technical things. If you've got any issues, usually refreshing helps, or logging out and logging back in usually does the trick. So Ellie's there for any guidance with anything technical. After today's event, you will be sent the presentation, so all the links are in there, but I'm sure Ed will work hard to put all the key links in the chat for you, as well as answering the questions. So it's lovely to welcome you to this afternoon's session. Let's just quickly run through what we're doing this afternoon. It's going to be quite action-packed. So what we're going to look at today, I thought it was really important as a team to bring you updates just for the post-16. So we're going to look at what's available now, so all our resources that got available, some of which you may be familiar with, some of which you might not be. So we're going to look at what's available now. We're going to look at some of the new resources we've got coming for September, which is really exciting. The team and I are really excited about those. We are also going to talk about the ETF Partnership. Now, I know Steve Pardo had a very busy morning with his conference for ETF, but hopefully he's going to join us this afternoon, and he's going to answer any questions in your chat if you have any. So hopefully Steve will join us later. We are also going to talk about our CPD events for next year, just so you know what's coming up. And lastly, we're going to look at some Pearson Tutoring program that they've just introduced for a post-16. And we're going to look at all our favourites, all our support at the end. So quite an action-packed afternoon, but hopefully we can get it all through. I'm going to look at the chat as you go. So if there's anything you want to ask, please do. The question and answer is also available as well. So let's get started. So what we're going to look at first is what's available now for your post-16 learner. I think it's key that they have something different, and they've done it before, it's not quite worked. So we were looking at as a team, what do they need? They need something extra. So a couple of years ago, we undertook quite a lot of extensive research for the post-16, and this PDF you can find on the Qual site. On the bottom, it's interactive, so those little hands, you click on those, the links are all there, so it's really easy to find. So we put together for your post-16 learner a package that hopefully would engage and motivate them and get them over the line to get from that 3 to a 4, and it starts with a scheme of work. So we've looked at the active teach and we've modified it, thinking about the needs and the maturity of the post-16 learner. Now, with all our research, we focused on 28 core topics. So those core things that your students need to know in order to push them over the line to get that 4. So we've got a whole unique scheme of work for our post-16 learner. We've also got some lesson plans. Again, modified from the active teach. There's 31 of them. And they are very much thinking about the mature, the further education context, what's going to interest them, what are they going to, what sort of jobs are they going to think about going into. So very practical lesson plans, and there's 31 of those. Now, this is where I need your thinking hats on, please. So we have got some themed papers. You can see the themes there. So your task for the next 45 minutes is to give us some ideas about what else we could do in that those theme papers. So these are really popular, lots of positivity around these. So you can see that we've got some agriculture, health and social care, travel and tourism, but what are we missing? Throughout this whole presentation, it would be great if you could give us any feedback on anything. That we're really keen to do whatever you as a customer would like us to do for you and your students. So please give us some feedback on the themed papers. If you've got any really good ideas, that would be fantastic. I'm not going to talk too much about all the research, but if you would like to know where all this information came from, the 28 core topics, then there is a live a recording of a network event where Nicola Woodford-Smith went through all the research, how it came about, why we did what we did. So again, there's a link to that if you would like to have a watch. And the last thing on that screen, now this is new from last September. So this is the on-screen diagnostic assessment. I'm loving all the comments coming through. Thank you very much. So the on-screen diagnostic assessments came from last September. So we launched them in September. They came about because we've been chatting to you and you've all highlighted the fact that they walk in September and you've got to somehow get them ready for an exam in November. So having this quick diagnostic assessment is really powerful. We know we've got, access to scripts, but lots of your students come from different places, so it's really difficult and time consuming. So this was devised because of your ask. So there are 3. So they're all online, they're multiple choice, they take just under an hour to do. And what I really love, and we will talk about these in more detail later, is that they've got a I'm not sure option. So you can always look at those rather than a guess, multiple guess. And there's 3 across the year. So you can see how they're building, their progress, and you get a spreadsheet telling you what each of your students has done, and that builds a picture over the year. So they're really powerful and they've come through this year. If you used any of those this year, please pop in the chat what you think. They're in their infancy. So yeah, we're always looking to improve. So if you have used the on-screen diagnostic, we'd love your feedback. Thank you. So this is a selection from the 1-year scheme of learning. So there's only a little snippet there, it's not the whole thing. I did speak to somebody in a college a few weeks ago that said they really struggled to get all this in for a year. So we are looking at that in terms of what can we do to support that. But it is very much based on the post-16 learner, what they're missing in terms of, get to 3 to 4, in terms of topic. So it's really quite detailed in there. It builds on what they've seen before. So, you can focus on those fundamental topics. All of this is available through our qualifications site or the Emporium. Now, I'm going to talk about the Emporium quite a lot. If you do one thing after this, you get access to the Emporium. The Emporium is really powerful in terms of it's got all our resources on there. It's got a nice little calendar feature so you don't miss anything. And we're also looking into communicating with you through the Emporium. So it's a one-stop shop. So if you haven't got a login for the Emporium, I would encourage you to do one. All you need is your school email address and we will get you signed up. So these are the key topics. So I spoke before about the 28 key topics that from research we found that these are the things that just push the grade 3 students to a grade 4. If you have a look at them, don't always come up, but most of 99% of the time they come up on the papers across all 3. I've been talking to lots of you over the last few months, and you are all really good at knowing what topics not to teach, simultaneous equations, for example, and trigonometry. But this could give you a real heads up on what is really vital to get your students over that line. So they're your key topics that the scheme of work is based on. So here's an example of a lesson plan. There are 31 of these. They're based on the Active Teach, if you're familiar with that. But they're all free, downloadable from the Emporium or the qualifications site. They're really adapted for your post-16 learner, for the more mature, the learner that's been there, done that, wants something different. It's got some really good contextual starters and plenaries that are linked. They're like shadows of each other, so you can easily see progression. When we've been talking to you, lots of you have your students post-16 for chunks of time, so 2 to 3 hours in one chunk, which can be quite difficult to engage and motivate them for the whole 2 to 3 hours. So, these sort of lesson plans, they can take a good chunk of your time slot with them, lots of different activities, lots to interest them, lots of things about misconceptions, these are perfect for all. So non-math specialist teachers, ECTs, even the more experienced teachers, these would be really valuable for. So these are all free on the Emporium and the qualifications site. So this is another sort of look at the lesson plans. They link to the theme papers that you've given us some really good ideas for, so thank you. Post 16 has got its own filing cabinet on the Emporium, so everything is in there for your ease. So there's lots of Post 16 boost papers that we're going to add to after your brilliant suggestions. Thank you very much. And all the schemes of work, etc. there. So it's just one place, so nice and easy to find. Be really great if anyone uses these, if they can give us some feedback on them, that would be brilliant. So we've got lots of ideas from you for the next themed papers, but all these themed papers were written by an FE Maths author, a lead author. So they look like exam papers. So that's really good in terms of preparing your students for the exams. But also they're brilliant for just engaging them and motivating them. And I'm sure you're looking at those thinking, oh, that would be great for that student or this student. And it's easy to differentiate them. So you can give some to different members of your class. They're great for independent learning or in class. As I said, I know you've got chunks of time, and it could be fair that these are the learners that aren't perhaps as motivated as they could be to go away and do tasks on their own. So these are great in the classroom, and the mark schemes provided. So as I said, they're really like exam questions, which is exactly what we're trying to get them ready for. So those are the themed papers. If you haven't looked at them, please do so. I've seen a couple of comments saying that you've used them and they're brilliant, which is fantastic. So thank you. And we will obviously add to them as well. So these are the online diagnostic, which we spoke about at the beginning. So just to recap, should be done online in under an hour. They could do them at home or they can do them in school with you. 31 multiple choice questions based on the 28 key topics. You can use calculator, and there are 3 of them. So you stagger it across the year. So when they come into your centre, maybe sort of January. So just to see the progress. And as I said, there is this I need more help option, so there won't be any guessing. And then after that, there should be no admin from you. You just have to register for account, which the link is on that PDF. And then the spreadsheet comes through to you with your students and what they could and couldn't do. So you can use that to govern what you teach in the classroom, but also the students can use that for their independent learning as well. Here's an example of a couple of the questions. So you've got, they look exactly like they are exam questions. So they're getting familiar with those as well. So that's an example of the online diagnostic assessment. And as I said, if anyone's got any feedback on the diagnostic assessments, we would love to hear from you. So new resources for September. Really excited about some of these. As I said, we've been talking to a lot of customers over the last 6 months, a year, and hopefully all of our new resources for you are going to help with the challenges you've given us. So key topic practice papers. So this links to the 28 key topics. We're looking at developing papers, so very similar to the exam feel, but just on those 28 key topics, which allows for more exam practice. So again, when you're breaking up your lessons, you could do one of these. Also, a number of you have said, they literally walk in the door. We haven't got their access to scripts and results plus. We just haven't got that time. The diagnostic tool is great, but if you want a little bit more in terms of what do they put down for their working, could they get some method marks? These are going to be perfect. So you could use these as they walk in the door to see where they're at. Probably an awful lot of them haven't done much since June, so it would be a really good way of easing them in and seeing what gaps they've got, what you need to fill. Now, I'm going to just miss the next bit and go to the key topic video clips because they're linked to the key topic practice papers. So we wanted something student-facing. Lots of you sort of have asked for this. So we've got some short videos which link to the key topic papers. So they're sort of like a walking, talking mock, but they're sort of 31 really short 1 to 2 minute clips of how to do that question. So we thought this would be really powerful for you and your students. They could watch it on the bus, but it would just give them that confidence. If they could watch that video, they could do that question. So they're linked to the key topic practice papers. And they should be up and running in the next few weeks. So watch the Emporium for an update on that, but they should be there before September. In fact, what we're aiming for is, all the resources that we have made for you for September, they should be with you before the end of term. So you've got that time before you go off on your holiday to have a look and just see how best you could use it. So we've got those key topic video clips for your students. You could play them in class and they could play them independently, just to give them that confidence. We've talked to a lot of you about, the confidence of your students come from year 11. They didn't get the grades they needed to get, so they might be a little bit anxious. So these are perfect just to instill a bit of confidence for them. Going back to the 6-week revision programme, this is really exciting. So when we talked to you, some of you sort of said, we've got such a short amount of time to get them ready for November. What can we do? So we've put together a 6-week revision programme, and it's targeted week by week in small chunks. It's got 3 tasks a week, so not overwhelming at all, and then a bonus task. You could use them in the classroom. You could use it as independent learning. It builds. So as I said, students probably haven't done an awful lot since June. So first week it's building, the 1-marker starter questions, the easier exam questions, and you just build their confidence until by week 6, you've got them doing crossover papers and proper exam papers so that they are fully prepared. Okay, so the 6-week revision programme, again, I'm hoping that's going to be out before the end of term, so you can have a really good look at that in order to prepare yourself for September. It's going to be student friendly as well as in the classroom. So we're working on a PDF document with lots of links on it so they can have it on their devices and just click on the links to take them to the resources to practice. So hopefully it's going to be really powerful and help you out, because I know that is a huge challenge in post-16 centres. Grade 1, 2 and 3 practice papers, they are live now. So the success of aiming for 5, aiming for 7, aiming for 9, we've built upon those. We've got now achieving a grade 1, achieving a grade 2 and achieving a grade 3, because you asked for them. Lots of people have asked for these, so you ask, we deliver. So they're live now, so please have a look at those. And again, let's know what you think. And the last thing that I think we're excited about all of it, but this is really exciting, the CPD calendar. So we've talked a lot to our customers, and it's clear that there isn't necessarily a big budget in schools for CPD. It's not a lot of money anywhere, and that's certainly the case in schools and post-16 centres. So we've put together a CPD calendar. It's monthly. We've tried to link it to what would be most useful for you at that time of the year. So we've got lots of things there that you can use. The first thing is we've got recordings of our networks. So we've got lots of already recorded networks in terms of helping students with exam anxiety, bar modelling, encouraging your lower attainers, to gain more progress. Lots and lots of different really useful CPD. So we've got one of those every month. We've also got shorter clips. So to start your department meetings off, 10-minute clip on how to motivate your higher attainers, or how to use manipulatives in your lesson to engage. So lots of different things. We've also become aware that we produce a lot of resources, and I don't think anyone, I've seen brilliant comments in terms of, the support and resources, but lots of resources are hidden because you're so busy, with your classes and your preparation, you might not have time to investigate a new resource that we've just brought out. So every month we're going to have a resource spotlight on something that you might find useful in your classroom at that time. So we've got a little video on bronze, silver, gold, aiming for papers, how you could use them, how they would be useful for your students. And also we've got some qualification spotlights as well. So as we're coming out of COVID, needs have changed. And we've got some qualifications that might be really useful for your students that you might not know about. So we've got some resources on there in terms of learning about our other qualifications. So again, hoping that's going to be ready for the end of term, but it will certainly be there by September, and it will be in the Emporium, so you can look. And it's just a monthly guide. You can take and leave as much as you want, but we're really hoping that that's going to help you in terms of, your team and your students. Okay, so I'm not sure whether Steve has made it onto the call, but we are really, really proud and pleased to be working with the ETF Partnership. And Steve Pardo is paramount in that. So this is really another string to your bow in terms of resources that you could use for your post-16 learners. So we have been working with the ETF and the CFEM project, and we have worked with them to produce 30 lessons for GCSE. And there are also 12, I believe, if Steve's on the call, that would be great, to confirm 12 lessons on functional skills, which I know some of you deliver. So there's a scheme of work. They're all based around the mastery programme. They're all written by teachers in the CFEM colleges. They're all really top quality resources. So every lesson has a lesson plan. There's a PowerPoint presentation, lots of handouts, lots of activities. And these will be really, really good in that block of time that you've got, those 2-3 hours, to keep them engaged and keep them motivated. And we're also really pleased that we've been given permission to host them on the Emporium. So when you get this deck with all the links on it, you can, of course, go to the ETF website, but you can also go to the Emporium and download all the lessons, all the resources, schemes of work for both GCSE and the functional skills. So we've got on the Emporium, we've got a filing cabinet. If you go into GCSE Maths, there's a filing cabinet just for post-16. So it'll all be in there, hopefully by the end of the week. So you can have a good look through, and it complements our Boost programme. So it's brilliant in terms of it just gives you other options of how to deliver this key content to this group of students. So yeah, really, really pleased to be working with EDF. Okay, so we've talked about the CPD calendar in our discussions with our customers. One of the challenges that many of you face is that you've got some brilliant non-maths specialists teaching maths, and they just need some guidance in how to deliver it. So what we put together is a series of 5 free networks across the year to help support your non-maths specialists. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be ECTs as well, or even the more experienced teachers could gain from this. We haven't got dates for them yet. We're waiting for our credible specialists who are going to run it to get their timetables, so they know what evenings they can present. But that again should be in the next, certainly before the end of July. So they will be ready to book through our PD Academy, which is where you booked this session, and they're all free. So they're going to be across the year. So there's 5 of them. So we'll let you have term 6 off. I'm pretty sure you're quite busy in term 6 with exams. But it's going to be a really good series of networks. They will be recorded and they will be popped onto our YouTube playlist, or certainly accessible via the CPD as well calendar. We'll add them to it. So you start with the basics. So looking at the structure of the course, what needs to be covered, looking at the exams, the assessments, what do they look like. So that's going to be the first session. They're an hour, so it'll be a little bit more detailed than that quick oversight. Then it builds to session 2. So we've talked already about Exam Wizard, which is a package to help you build papers. We've got Results Plus. We've got access to scripts as well. Lots of different things that Pearson use that non-math specialists might not know about or know how to use or how to access, as well as all the Emporium resources. So that session will be really powerful. So we've got session 1 and 2, so that'll take you to about Christmas. And then session 3 is looking at mark schemes. So we thought it was really important to make sure that you've got that knowledge of mark schemes. I think the best CPD I ever did was becoming an exam marker. You learn so much, not just about the marking guidance, but also about what students do in the exam. It's really interesting. So mark scheme guidance is session 3. Session 4, we'll be looking at the links that as a more experienced maths teacher, you would see, you would know, but as a non-math specialist, you might not see the links and the pedagogy behind, the teaching and the content. So that's a really good session for non-math specialists, but for all really. And the last one, which is probably about April time, is exam preparation, hints, tips, exam anxiety. We've got a really good network on how to manage exam anxiety. We did quite a lot just before the exam period on, top tips for students from examiners and revision plans and, lots of revision resources. So I booked those in, but they're free and they'll be brilliant for all really. And hopefully those will be live by the end of July. So hopefully before you go off on your holiday. We just wanted to also highlight this to you, Pearson Tutoring Programme. So they've just released a package for post-16 for maths and for English. So we'd really like to share this with you. Now, this is the only thing that's got a small charge. So I've spoken about lots of things. This is the only thing with a small charge. It's all online. So there'll be a tutor online with a small group of 1, 2, 3 students at a time. So it's very bespoke. It means that they can really engage the students, fill in all their individual misconceptions, think about what they need in terms of exam technique. You can see, it's really successful in terms of, the engagement has increased by over 50%, which is really positive. Again, on the document we're going to send you afterwards, there will be a link. So if this is something that you might want to investigate for your centre and your students, there'll be a link for you to talk to Pearson Tutoring. But there's lots of different ways you could do this. So 2 to 3 sessions a week or more if you need more input. So yeah, that's something we wanted to share with you, just in case it's something that could be of use to you and your students. I've got about 10 minutes to go, which is plenty of time, which is excellent. So yeah, just to finish off really, we've got a lot of new things coming, which hopefully will be really useful for the post-16 market. We've got the revision plans and the key topic papers, but we just wanted to highlight the oldies but the goodies that are your favourites. Just a date for your diaries really. So the exam feedback session for GCSE, which is really useful in terms of focusing your teaching for the year ahead, is on the 21st of September. So yeah, get that one in your diaries. Nicola Woodford-Smith is going to go through the exam papers, all the examiners' comments, all the things students did really well at, all the things they need to work on, so that's really powerful and useful for your teaching in terms of as you move through the year. Knowing how students did the previous year is really useful. We've got themed papers. We've got the mock sets. So we are really proud that we've got now 8 sets of mocks. So these go through the rigorous process as a normal exam paper would, in terms of writers, routineers, all the processes, but students are never going to have seen those questions. So I know when I was in the classroom, some students were quite clever in terms of working out what paper they were sitting, but they won't have that with the mock set because it's not a paper. Paper sets 1 to 6 are on the Emporium. Papers 7 and 8 are still locked on the qualification site. So they are definitely 100% secure from your students. And all you need is an Edexcel Online password for those. We've got practice papers, shadow papers, crossover papers, which are really powerful for your post-16 learners in terms of that, the crossover of, the 4-5 that are on both the higher and the foundation papers. We've talked about aiming for and achieving papers. So, the achieving 1, 2 and 3, we can change the front sheet, but the questions are perfect just to get that confidence up for your students. We've got mark scheme training, which is going to also be linked to the CPD calendar. So sort of, mock time. So November, we've got the mark scheme training video. So we've got June 22 and November 22. There's previous ones as well, but probably you're going to be using the 22. So they've broken it down into papers, so you can go through those. We've got a dedicated support from our credible specialists. So I mentioned them before with the networks and their timetable. So they are teachers. They deliver lessons during the week, and then they do some work for us as well. So we've got lots of support from them, which is really powerful. And also, I did mention this a little bit with the CPD calendar. As we come out of COVID, lots of centres are talking to us about, qualifications for students that need pushing or students that need some more support. So the entry-level certificate ELC and the Edexcel Awards is 2 options. Right, well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So just a few things to remind you about. The PD Academy is where you book everything. So yeah, look out for the end of July for the networks, the 5. Please, email us if you can't find anything or if you need anything. Just let us know. But yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you this afternoon, and hopefully it's been helpful. And we will take all your points and the chat messages and respond if we need to, or certainly think about what resources we can develop for you to help your post-16 learner. Thank you so much for all your comments and all your chat. It's been a really positive afternoon. So thank you for giving up an hour of your time. It's been a pleasure, and I'm glad that you feel so positive about our resources, and we're really excited to share them all with you, hopefully before you go off on your holidays. So thank you.